Now, to paint tiles on our tile maps, what we need to do is go to the top menu of Unity, Window, click 2D and select Tile Palette. It should be opened as a new window. I'm going to dock it here in the bottom left corner of Unity. I have already pre-created the tile palettes for you, as well as the tiles, and you can use them simply by selecting one of those tools and painting them on our tile maps. If you are not familiar with using tile maps in Unity, you can check out my Unity Create a Simple Tank Game tutorial. I will link it in the description. So basically what we have here is the tiles that we can paint, the active tile map, so the tile map that we are going to use, as well as the tools at the top of this window. I'm going to select the active tile map as the C, the tile palette here in this drop down to be ground, and I'm going to select the brush. So here are the tools. We have the selection tool, move tool, and the brush tool is one of the tools that allows us to paint tiles on our map. Now I'll select this water tile, and as you can see we have the C selected and we can paint our C. Now this isn't very efficient because we are basically painting one tile at a time. So if we select the second tool here, which is the paint a filled box, we can select this and paint a filled box that will represent the C of on our map. And as you can see, if we go to the game view now, we can see the C. Now to render it correctly, we are going to select the C tile map, and in the inspector I will want to set the sorting layer of the tile map renderer to be, from the drop down I will select the C. Now this will be important because we want to, for example, islands to be rendered on top of our C, so this is for us to be able to set the correct ordering of the rendering of our tiles. Now if we have this, let's select the active tile map from the tile palette to be the end map collider, and we have this frame tiles in our tile palette that we can use to create boundaries of our map. So what we can do is select our again, let's use the paint filled box. Let's use this top edge, and if we try painting here, you will see that we can paint it above our C, but not on top of it, where I would like this edge to exist. And this is because, again, we need to select the tile map, the end map collider, and now I'm going to select the sorting layer, and I'm going to select the props. Now props is below C, so it will be rendered on top of this. This is how the sorting layer works. So if I select props, as you can see here, I can see our edge of the map. Now I'm going to paint the remaining parts of the map in the project, and I'm going to later on add a collider to it, but since we are not going to work on any type of boats, this will not be very important. This is just for the purpose of making our map a bit more attractive or pleasant to look at. I'm going to place the corners, and this is how you'd use the tile maps to create a map in Unity. Now let's go to the islands. So let's select the active tile map to be the islands. And now we have an issue because, as you see in our tile palettes, there are a lot of tiles representing our island. Let's select the brush icon. Let's select this green tile here in the center. If we try painting it, again, we are not going to see it because we need to select islands in the hierarchy, this tile map, and select the tile renderer and select the sorting layer to be islands. Now, again, if we go closer, we can see that, again, we can use the brush tool to paint it, but we are only painting the green layer. We can use the paint box, but again, we are not painting the edges, so it would take a lot of time to paint those by hand. So maybe there is a better way to do it. And there is. I'm going to use this eraser tool. This allows us to erase the tiles that we have already painted. And now I'm going to show you how we can use a rule tile. Let's paint something like this. And automatically those tiles were created for me, and I can create them even further, and I can do whatever I want with those. And I'm going to show you how to create it. So again, I'm going to use eraser. I can hold Ctrl to increase the field of the eraser. And now, let's go. I'm going to stop painting by clicking the paintbrush again. I'm going to go to the projects, the tiles folder. I'm going to use open rule tiles. And here we have our island rule tile that I have prepared for you. If we take a look in the inspector at it, we can see that we have the default sprite, which is our grass, And below it we have something called tiling rules that represent the rules that we can use or the Unity automatically uses to paint the correct type of tile in the correct spot. If we take a look at this bottom edge, we can see that near the sprite there are those strange arrows and X's. Basically, what it tells us is that below this tile, so one tile below cannot be a tile of this type. So if it isn't this type, but if there is a tile of this type to the left and to the right, as well as above and in the diagonal top directions, we can then assume that we can paint this tile. So those are the rules that define when this tile should be painted instead of this default grass tile. Now, to understand it better, let's create a tile together, a rule tile. So let's right click in this folder, create, let's select 2D, let's select tiles, and we should have another menu with the different tiles that we can create, and one of those is the rule tile. Let's select this. Here it is, a new rule tile. In the inspector we have this default sprite. Let's select this. We are going to type here tilemap _ 8. And this is the grass tile. And let's select it. Now we are going to add one tiling rule. So let's select this empty list. Let's select this plus icon to add this. And for this one we are going to again type tilemap _ 18. And this will be this bottom edge. Okay. In the preview, you can see that we are only painting this specific tile, this bottom edge. Now, we can use those tiny squares to decide that we do not want to paint this if there is another grass tile below. So we can click on this, and we can see that this will be only painted if there is one. So this arrow represents that there is a tile below. We can click it again, and this will turn into X. So we can only paint it if there is no tile such as this one below. So in the preview you can see that this is only painted if there is no tile such as this grass below. Now, to define that, we also need to have the tile of type grass to the right, left, up, and the diagonal top directions. We can add those arrows to this. And now we can see that this can only be painted if there is the grass tile to the right, to the left, and in those diagonal top directions. Now, to add our new rule tile to our tile palette, if you have it opened, all you need to do is to drag this new rule tile to our tile palette, and let's select it using the brush, and now let's try painting it to understand how it works. So now we are painting this default sprite, and we can paint it 3 squares in the row. Let's paint another row above. And as I paint the last one, you can see that this edge tile below has automatically been created, this edge tile in the bottom direction. If we try creating a grass tile here, it will disappear because there cannot be this grass tile below. Now, if I paint 2 more of those, you can see that our bottom edge is increasing because our rules define that here we should paint this one. And basically this is the idea behind the rule tile. Now, I believe that the best way for you to learn this and to understand it is by trying to create this kind of rule tile that will allow you to create those islands. Now we can select my island rule tiles and check the rules that I have preset to find out what's going on, but give it a shot and try creating your own rule tiles and try to understand how it works, because it is a very useful tool when working with tile maps in Unity 2D environment. Okay, when you are done, or if you don't want, you can use my rule tile. In the next video, we are going to actually use it to create some islands and to finish creating our map. See you in the next video.